Okay, hopefully this one will go a little bit better. Shall we try the stuff again? Shall we try the stuff again? Alright, picking back where we left off. Had some internet snafus with the first match. Ended up losing to a variant of Orzhov Stoneblade. May or may not have been an reanimator deck. I'm not quite sure because it had Persist in the deck, in addition to Malika Rebirth and Ephemerate, and then lost that 2-1 because game number 2 was interrupted and I wasn't able to sideboard correctly, and lost game number 3 in a very weird thing. And our opponent was definitely very ready for. We are on the draw with this hand. Think we keep it? Question is, what am I? Yes. Copy of Footfalls, I guess. Leave the endurance in the odd situation in case we're up against a whatchamacallit deck. Well, I do need to draw a land though. Your match, perhaps? Well, seems to be a problem we have. We start with a 2-land hand and then die to random nonsense. Just in time. Alright, let's see here. Definitely interested in mystical disputes. Really interested in the Teferi. How likely is a Just Guy nonsense to have filter? Doesn't seem like we really want any type of burn a second endurance. Go down. Number of copies of Dead gone. Try it like this. This hand just doesn't do anything. This hand seems fine. Put back one of the copies of Fire Ice, I guess. Getting into trouble? How am I getting into trouble? Oh, the dogs? No, the dogs are just playing with each other. Well, if we get counterspelled, we're going to be in some trouble. So, yeah, it's like we're in some trouble. It's a mixed bag, but doing alright, I guess. How about you? Oop. Just get a 3-power 2/2 into play. Start pressuring their life total a little bit here. Alright, subtlety is not terrible here. Problem is, I didn't bring in any of my anti-permanent based hate, I don't think, so like I have all these cascade spells, but like nowhere to go with them, quite frankly. This looks like the terrible variant of Jeskai that, or a variant of it that don't expect us to resolve, but, you know, whatever. I'm pretty sure that means we're dead. I mean, sure, there's things that could happen, but we just weren't properly sideboarded for this. So I think this deck feels a lot like if your opponent's prepared for it, then you lose. If they're not prepared for it, you win, kind of thing. And the fact that I didn't bring in any permanent-based hate other than what was already in the main deck. Sand seems fine. Be interesting to see how things against the Luris deck goes. Hopefully it isn't mill. Definitely not mill. Burn, it looks like. Is Burn even adopting the monkey? Looks like Burn is adopting the monkey. It's time for some monkey business. Grab the basic forest here so we don't like randomly die. Make sure this goblin guy dies. Bolt the face. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Somehow I don't think we're dying, so let's just put lethal in play. Sure. 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 Alright, Burn's even playing the darn monkey now. How much hate do I expect out of Burn right now? I don't know. I guess we can expect, Eidolons and maybe whatchamacallit? Vortex. I can't think of the name of it at the moment. Teferi, potentially okay. So Teferi's interesting. Fire Spout's interesting. Dead Gone's interesting. Magmatic. Force of Vigor might be interesting. Shade 1 Ardent Plea. Well, I don't think Burn... I mean, Burn is not well positioned, but adding Ragavan to Burn makes... Like, both Ragavan and DRC could make sense in Burn Shells. Like, I'm not dismissing that possibility. I don't know that this hand is good enough on the draw, especially with our opponent on 7 cards, so I am going to mulligan. Looks like we're going to 5. This hand seems fine. Put back 1 land. Cancel. Back. Footfalls and a land, I guess. Back that land. It's possible I was supposed to do Force of Negation so I could guarantee having turn 2 Shardless Agent here. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so ensure that things are moving along. Monkey is annoying. Sure. Don't know why you wouldn't attack with Swiftspear there, too. Let's do that. Ragavan hits Dead Gone, which doesn't do much here. Untapped land. Not the one we really wanted, but it's the one we deserved, I guess. Sure. A lot of it depends on whatever your deck is. For some decks in Modern, it's Teferi Time Raveler. For other decks, it's like Engineered Explosives. For okay. So we're drawing Fire Ice. That in front of that. That in front of that. Actually... I don't know that Leyline of Sanctity is the worst hate card for burn currently in the format. Okay, 4 to the face, sure. But you're still dead. I would say probably just an in general Ragavan on 1 or Murktide Regent, I think, are the 2 scariest cards in the format. Like I said, War Dog, the thing with Modern is, you know, I don't think Legacy has gotten to this point, but Modern is, whatever else people want to say, Modern is still largely about, does your sideboard match up against Deck X? You know, there's a lot of cards that hate on the Ragavan decks, you know, things like Engineered Explosives, etc. What's up, Space Marine? Modern is interesting right now. I think Modern's a heck hole for true control decks, but even Nassif showed if you craft the right control deck for the right weekend, you can still win. So, I mean, granted, Nassif can win with a ham sandwich, but we're on the play. That's unfortunate. Still think we keep this hand even on the play. It's not bad. Well, as long as the deck doesn't threaten to time himself out, yeah, Nassif's good with whatever deck. Okay. They have Force of Negation. We're in a little bit of trouble, but not much we can do about that. Yeah, Space Marine, you're not getting all three of those. You're lucky if you get Uro or Field the Dead back before you get some of the other stuff. Well, okay. Does that resolve? Yes and yes. Alright. So we got 10 power in play and a Force of Negation. So heck is this? What, double prismatic ending? Well, they have Violent Outburst makes this a little bit easier. Because that way if they verdict, we just get the Violent Outburst. Generation, sure. I could see Uro coming back more than Field, but I could see them both coming back in the long term. Alright. Rainbow tapped. Actually, I should have grabbed the white source, huh? Opponent has conceded the game. Alright, so we're up against Jeskai stuff. Need to have some answers to permanent-based hate. Because I've seen some of them with Chalice, which is, like, kind of annoying. Obviously we want the mystical disputes. Are these guys just good enough to warrant bringing in just 'cause? Just being a 3/4 flash creature? Probably want Teferi. Dead Gone can definitely come out. Well, the copies of Ardent Plea can come out. Problem is we don't know if they're a Ragavan deck or not, so it's kind of awkward in some ways. try it like this. Just don't think this hand does anything. This hand's at least interesting. Put back endurance. Actually, I should have probably put back footfalls, honestly. Okay. Yeah, I literally don't care about wall of omens. That is not a card I particularly wanted to see. Sure. Zoo let out early. Something like that. Land, please. Land, please. Draw step land. Well, I mean, it's not the best of cards, but it's not the worst of cards here either. Sure. Opponent's got chump blockers. Well, I mean, theoretically that's a third land, so I'm just going to play it and pass. Allows us to play Brazen Borrower on in step, start pressuring our opponent's life total a little bit. They're going to give us a free mana. How thoughtful of them. right? Space Marine, I don't know. Guess I'm okay with trying to jam Teferi here. Just because something's playable or not doesn't mean people don't play it in certain formats, my man. And Eldrazi Tron is just a fine deck, and Field of Ruin is pretty reasonable against it, too. So while Green Tron does suffer some problems, Eldrazi Tron with Chalice is in pretty decent shape. It's not the best deck, but it certainly is a deck that people work on and play, because I know Tunneling Cat has continued to do remarkably well on trophies, so... And not everybody can afford... expensive decks, you know? Like, for goodness sake, somebody was still playing Twiddlestorm the other day against one of the streamers. I can't remember who. Well, Titan isn't playable right now either. The heck is this? Prismatic Ending? Three colors, X equals 2. And then they have Supreme Verdict, I'd assume. No, Celestial Colonnade is definitely unplayable right now. Too many things kill it. Path kills it. Push kills it. Whatchamacallit, Fire kills it. Unholy Heat. There's just too many things that kill Colonnade too easily now. I don't know. White Castle's got some pretty good food, Space Marine. I've never tasted a Celestial Colonnade, but I know White Castle's got some pretty good food. So, back when I was still dating the ex, the running gag about I don't know or something, I think there's actually a restaurant called I Don't Know or something along those lines. Making sure we're not the ones timing out here. Or you're broke coming back from a magic thing. I think the first time I ever had White Castle was when I was coming back from well, this could be awkward. They have another Supreme Verdict. We're in some trouble, but alright, and their opponent scooped. I kind of feel bad, but at the same time, I kind of don't. So, neat little trick here. We get to Shardless Agent, pick it back up with Teferi, and have access to our fourth copy of Crushing Footfalls as long as we weren't going to draw it. So, I mean, a win is a win is a win is a win here. So, you know. Let's open the chest and see what we got. Well, we've got an Avatar Minsk Beloved. 45 play points, which is above average. And then Knight of the Reliquary. I don't think that's worth a lot, but I still think it's a thing. Might be like worth a buck or two at this point. Reliquary. Original Conflux. Yeah, it's worth 0.10 ticks. So, I think there are positives and negatives for both variants of the deck. So, obviously, this is the one we played the first time. I don't even think we played it in a league. We just played some pickup games with it. The nice thing about this variant of the deck, Bone Crusher Giant and Brazen Borrower give you a lot of like additional tempo-ish threats to play. You know, I don't know that Cryptic Command's all that good in the deck anymore. Subtlety obviously is a fine card. Let me look at the actual three-color builds to see what they're running now, because I don't think they're running Cryptic and all this nonsense now. Some of them are still running. They're still running Cryptic Command. I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, they're still basically looks like they're running the majority of this list, other than they've changed up these for like endurances. And Mystic Leyline Sanctity didn't feel all that great for them, apparently. So, the whole point of this deck isn't to cascade in anything but Crushing Footfalls. The only deck that runs Crashing Footfalls and Ancestral is the Electra Balance deck. Because if you actually look, so I'm going to pull up the lists here. So, Crashing Footfalls, you have the Crashing Footfalls lists that we're currently playing. You have the Living In, which is also a Cascade deck, the Electro Balance deck, and then you have the... Crashing Footfalls, Living End, Violent Outburst, the Wurg deck, the Glimpse of Tomorrow deck. Now this deck is frickin' hilarious. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the card Warp World. Glimpse of Tomorrow is basically Warp World just targeting yourself. And this deck like plays a bunch of stuff that like makes a bunch of food tokens or makes a bunch of clues, and then just tries to glimpse for tomorrow, and then hope you flip a Dark Dwellers and do it again. This deck is just like, I've seen it go off like once or twice, and it's absolutely hilarious. So, Agent is pure degenerate rubbish. Cascade shouldn't exist. So, the one thing I will say about the format as it currently exists. So, Modern, the decks that see play in the format right now are all beatable if you want to beat them. You know, you've got the Hammer Time deck, which is currently far and away the best deck. Is a Tempo, which is basically the Delverless Delver decks, the Blitz decks, the Kitchen decks, the Cascade decks, the Rakdos Luros decks, which are basically the more mid-range version that Spike was playing, Amulet Titan. See, Control isn't terrible. It's just not good? Question mark? Okay. Third place is Zorius list. So, Snapcaster, Solitude, Blossoming Calm. That's a heck of a Magic card. Here you go, Space Marine. Blue-white control list playing both Castle of Antris and Celestial Colonnade. And still running a couple copies of Field of Ruin. Running a one of Rogrun Triumph, presumably for Prismatic Ending. Yeah, Abrupt Decay is deal. The problem with Hammer Time is the best card against them, actually, at least in post-board games from what I've seen, is usually Engineered Explosives. Because most of their key spells are either 1 or 2. I didn't say it was good, Space Marine. I just simply said there was a blue-white control deck that had a result. That's all. 5-color elementals. That one's a bit of a blast. This is the deck that I probably enjoy the most in the format. The 4-color Lorehold Turns deck, I think, is the deck that I enjoy the most. I don't think it's good. I just think I enjoy it. Orzhov Stoneblade, I actually played against this, or a variant of this, like twice off camera. This is actually the dude I lost to in the first round, Nazart. It's like a decent Stoneblade list. They're running Grief and Solitude, and then they get to like pair it with this nonsense, and it gets really annoying. Like, their deck is literally designed to abuse Grief and Solitude. They Ephemerate it, they Malakir Rebirth it, they Undying Evil it. They get to play 10 modal face lands, so they're only actually playing 14 true lands. They're not too good right now, but, okay, I will take that back. Uro is not too good. Mystic Sanctuary is. Uro is not too good. Mystic Sanctuary is. Do you really want the Ragavan Murktide decks having access to Mystic Sanctuary to top everything else off, I don't think that'd be a good idea. Well, O'Doyle, so I agree they printed a bunch of broken cards. They printed a bunch of powerful stuff. But the thing is, every single variant of a deck outside of true hard control got upgrades. They just had to adapt. Stoneblade decks like this one are kind of a spiritual successor to Jund. They're not Jund, but this is still a black mid-range base deck. Hammer Time got Urza's Saga. Affinity kind of came back with Urza's Saga. Urza himself is seeing some play again because of Urza's Saga. Blue Tempo decks got a ton of stuff. General archetypes got boosted. It's just the traditional archetypes, in a narrower sense, didn't get boosted. So, like, hard versions like Burn, or Greentron, or, you know... Space Marine, I understand you love control decks, but almost every control pilot I've heard that is a streamer has said when control is tier 1, it's bad for a format. Spike has said it. Nassif has said it. There's at least one or two. Jeff Hooglin, I know he's not a control mage, but when you have so many people just say that when control is the tier 1 deck, it's bad for the format, including people that like to pilot blue control decks, I tend to defer to their expertise. Well, it definitely shook up the format, O'Doyle, and that's the point of the thing, is to shake up the format. I mean, is Ragavan powerful? Sure. Is Urza's Saga powerful? Sure. Is Murktide Regent powerful? Sure. But is it a Hogak? Is it a Renin 6? Remains to be seen. Clearly there's no Hogak in their set. But there is essentially a Renin 6 with Ragavan. So... And if you look, the newer sets, the newer standard sets are toning down the power level. So this may be the last injection of, stupid broken cards into the modern format for 6 months. So remains to be seen. Oh, Space Marine. I know you're not a huge fan of Historic right now, but there's an accidental leak of a Jumpstart Horizons thing where they're putting some of the Modern Horizon and Modern Horizon 2 cards into Historic through Jumpstart, a Jumpstart set, and they also, apparently there's like 30 new cards being introduced into Magic, period, that have never been printed. So I'm wondering if some of those fixed versions of like those Uros and some of the other stuff, I wonder if they're going to introduce those. Schmenka, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You gotta understand with Space Marine is like a diehard control player, so if control ain't good, he ain't happy. So... in your last ever video last night. I appreciate your dedication to your cause, man, but it's really kind of hard to, like, say that's your last video. Like, take it from me, someone who's taken quite a few breaks from content creation and from Magic in general, it's never easy to completely walk away. So, eventually Control will come back in some form. It always does. Wasn't Spike working on something? I'm going to stop the recording for the combined feature, but keep the stream going. I swear Spike was working on some type of deck. Right, Mohan. Wait, what? Speaking of stupid control decks that went on the spot, here you go, Space Marine. I mean, fair enough, whether you like the man or not, whether you like his decks or not, he's the number 2 or number 3 Magic streamer right now, at least in the daytime. I don't think Preordain or Ponder or Brainstorm will ever... Well, I don't think Preordain or Ponder will ever be unbanned in Modern, and I don't think you'll ever see Brainstorm printed into it. They tried to print Brainstorm into Historic, and that ended poorly. So, I don't think bringing any more consistency to some of the decks will help. But... yeah. If nothing else, Wizards has succeeded in making the formats interesting, or should I say, debatable. So, but I think Preordain would be the least offensive of it, but Wizards has already pretty much said that they're never going to unban something that adds consistency to combo decks. Oh, Doyle, you're wasting your breath, man. Space Marine's just frustrated. I don't blame him. As someone whose main deck has been, like, nerfed into oblivion, well, not nerfed, but out power leveled into oblivion, I can completely understand where he's coming from. But anyways, I appreciate y'all hanging out. Sorry about the false start on the stream. My internet crapped out, so I had to restart it. I'm gonna have to piece all of these files together into one league, so that's gonna be something fun to do here in a bit when I get off stream. But I want to thank you all for hanging out tonight. Shmenka, I hope I did that correctly. Nice to see you. Doyle, Space Marine, War Dog. It's always a pleasure. Hope you all have a great evening, and because I gotta get off here early, so because I got an interview in the morning before work in the afternoon, so tomorrow's gonna be a busy day. So thank you all for hanging out, and I hope you all have a good evening, And Space Marine, sorry for your beloved control deck, man. May it rest in peace.